Hi everyone, it's Chris. Welcome back to another video. Thank you very much for joining me today. And this is another in my series I call Favourite 5, where I share my favourite 5 songs and albums for many one band or artists. But today I'm going to focus on one particular producer, and that's Steve Lillywhite. So English record producer who's probably got his name on probably the best part of a few hundred different albums, I would have thought. He's a guy who's won 5 or 6 Grammys, and he even got a CBE about 15 years ago. So, you know, he's been around and had done a lot of work, and choosing just 5 albums and 5 songs was quite difficult. But here are my favourite 5 of the ones that came to mind straight away. Let's do the albums first. So first up is XTC. This is their 3rd album from '79, Drums and Wires, and this really builds on Go To and White Music, the 2 albums that preceded it, and I think is considerably better, especially in terms of kind of melodies and song structure and song quality. This is the one that produced Making Plans for Nigel, which is just a brilliant song, but some other great songs on here as well. Helicopter, When You're Near Me, I Have Difficulty, Roads Around the Girdle, Says the Man. There's some great songs on here. You know, kind of typical kind of jerky kind of new wave kind of sound, but a really good album. Yes, it's not as sophisticated as later XTC albums, but a real step up from the first 2, and I really enjoy it, and that's my first of my favourite Steve Lillywhite productions. Next up is a debut from Susie and the Banshees. This is The Scream from '78. This from this era came Hong Kong Garden. That's not on this album. That was a non-album single that Steve Lillywhite also produced, was a big hit. And this is a decent album. I think this is, in fact, in many ways, I think is an absolute post-punk classic. Some real kind of metallic sounding guitar. I don't mean metal in terms of heavy metal, just metallic sounding guitar from John McKay, who also does saxophone on here as well. And some tremendous kind of very distinctive vocals from Susie. I think this is just as I said, a post-punk classic. It's a really decent album, and not quite Steve Lillywhite sounding in many ways, but a tremendous album. This next band, a band that really divides opinion, and certainly from the comments that have appeared on my videos in the past, this is a band that people who watch my channel don't particularly like. I like the early version of this band, and this is a live album that kind of summarises I think 3 albums or wherever it was that preceded this, and take some of the best songs, and I think on this live album provide some of the definitive versions of those particular songs. Of course, we're talking about U2, a band that Steve Lillywhite had a long association with. This is Alive Under a Blood Red Sky. This is from mid-80s, recorded in the States somewhere. I think, was it Colorado? I can't remember. But there are, I think, the definitive versions of some of their best songs. Now, I'm not a massive U2 fan at all, and I very rarely listen to them, but I think this album is tremendous. Sunday Bloody Sunday, definitive version of that. Electric Co, ditto, definitive. New Year's Day, really good version. Gloria's tremendous in it. I Will Follow, which probably isn't as good as the kind of post-punky sounding version that's on their debut, but is nevertheless very, very good. And this was a band in transition. This was kind of an album, a bit like Rush used to do a live album at the end of an era, and then after that live album would change direction. Well, they certainly started to change direction after this particular album, but I think this is a really underrated live album. Great production work as well. Next is an album that Steve Lillywhite produced for reasons probably that at the time this particular lady was his wife. I think they were married for about 10 years. Sadly, this person died long time ago now. I think about the year 2000, something like that, an accident in Mexico. Of course, this is Kirsty MacColl. And the album Kite, which is a tremendous album, absolutely brilliant. Don't Come the Cowboy with Me, Sonny Jim, Innocence Free World, great version of Days, the Kinks song on here as well. It's just chock full of great melody, fantastic performances, beautifully sequenced, well produced, and just so much humour. I love this album, superb album, really, really good. And finally, one of my favourite albums by Steve Lillywhite is I think this is the 3rd album by this band. It's not quite as ramshackle as the one that came before it, which was produced by Elvis Costello. This is the Pogues, and If I Should Fall from Grace with God. Quite a polished version of the Pogues, but still retaining some of their very kind of rough and ready edges as well, but some great songs on here. The title track that opens the album is tremendous. Bottle of Smoke, brilliant. It also produced the Christmas classic that Kirsty MacColl and Shane MacGowan did, Fairy Tale of New York, which is just brilliant. Metropolis is great. Thousands of Sailing is tremendous. Bit of political comment and Streets of Sorrow and Birmingham 6. Fiesta, which was inspired by a kind of a 3-day party in Spain, and the broad, majestic Shannon. As I said, very polished version of the Pogues, but a great sounding album, and some tremendous songs. I would have loved to have seen this band live. Brilliant. And then I've got 5 songs for you, 5 songs that I really like by Steve Lillywhite Productions. He was quite renowned for a big drum sound, and this particular song has got that in spades. It's Waterfront by Simple Minds. I'm not sure which album that comes from. I don't possess it. I've only got the 45, but the drum sound on that is fantastic. I love that song. It's one of my favourite songs by Simple Minds. I think he only produced 1 album by this next band, and it's not one of their best. It wouldn't make it into my top 5, nowhere near it. But there is a song on here I do love. The album is by Talking Heads. It's called Naked. This is from, 88? And Nothing But Flowers is the song I'm choosing. I think that's tremendous. Like the antithesis of Big Yellow Taxi by Joni Mitchell. It's just a tremendous song. Brilliant lyrics, brilliantly produced, and a great band performance. Tina Weymouth on it's fantastic, but it's a great song and the highlight, I think, of that particular album. Now I'd have to choose a song from one of these 2 albums. This is Ultravox. This is their second album, which is called Ha Ha Ha, and I nearly chose the Frozen ones from that album. But I'm going to choose a song from this album. Now, this is the version of Ultravox with the exclamation mark, the Neu influence, Kraftwerk influence version, with John Fox as their main person rather than Midure. And the song that opens up this album is called Saturday Night in the City of the Dead, which is just a brilliant, almost post-punk song, really, rather than punk. And this came out in 77, so one of his early productions, but a tremendous album. And the opening song, Saturday Night in the City of the Dead, is fantastic. One of the best songs that this guy did was produced by Steve Lillywhite. This is Peter Gabriel from the Melt album, and this was a successful single for him, Games Without Frontiers, which I think is just a brilliant song on the Charisma label. And finally, this isn't a band that you kind of would necessarily associate with Steve Lillywhite, because it's not his kind of thing. Maybe you could have said that about Ultravox, possibly, but the band are the Members, and this is the album at the Chelsea nightclub. And there's a song on here that kind of is one of the definitive songs of that particular era, and that's The Sounds of the Suburb. Now, one of the reasons I think he did produce this band is because his brother was the drummer, possibly, so maybe he got mates rates. But this single, which is just a fantastic song, and that's probably my favourite song that Steve Lillywhite produced. So there you go. He's on lots of albums. He would have produced lots of songs. So what are your favourites? Pop them in the comments below. And while you're there, give the video a thumbs up, hit subscribe, and I'll see you on the next video. Cheers.